Lutheran Haven, a ministry inspired by God and enabled by His people to serve others through the SELC district in Florida. For those unfamiliar with the story of the Slavia colony in Florida, a short recap. Slovak immigrants from Holy Trinity Slovak Lutheran Church in Cleveland, Ohio, wanted to leave the big city, return to their agrarian roots and simpler, God-fearing lives. Those interested in starting anew incorporated the Slavia Colony Company for the purposes of acquiring, purchasing, selling, and trading lands and real property in the state of Florida. They purchased, settled, and farmed the land and organized a church for worship. That church was called the St. Luke the Evangelizer Lutheran Church. In 1936, the concept of a haven was introduced at a voters' meeting at St. Luke's. Humble and hard-working farmers voted unanimously to donate 5 acres of land to the Slovak Synod for a project to care for old folks, orphans, and superannuated retired Lutheran ministers. The concept enlarged as they researched other similar communities and continued to donate financial resources to make the vision a reality. Prayerfully, in 1941, they formed a committee to work with the SELC leadership to enlist their endorsement. In 1945, the St. Luke's Committee, with grateful hearts, announced to the SELC an offer of additional land and a significant monetary donation from the Duda family to make this haven a reality. The Synod sent questionnaires to district pastors to determine their personal and congregational support for such a project. District leaders and the local committee met for an organizational meeting in Slavia on the 23rd of January in 1946. They completed their work within a week by working 12 to 15-hour days, then celebrated with a high church service on Sunday, January 27th. Board members worked tirelessly conducting the planning. A Christmas Seals campaign was inaugurated to attract additional interest in donors. A quarterly missive to members of the SELC congregations called the Haven Herald was written, edited, and mailed. Each board member sacrificially gave their time while otherwise employed in full-time jobs. Plans were completed and the land was cleared for construction, but post-war prioritization for the construction of GI housing delayed the ability of the Haven for several years to achieve permission to acquire building materials. In joyous celebration of Thanksgiving for God's faithfulness, Lutheran Haven dedicated to the glory of God in service to mankind on May 30th, 1948. A skeletal staff was hired, a matron to care for the old folks and a house mother to care for the children, as well as a cook. The responsibility of the day-to-day operations continued to be managed by those first trustees and St. Luke's pastor, Stephen Toohey. The children were blessed to attend St. Luke's Lutheran School, where they received lots of tender loving care and a world-class education. Reverend Toohey supervised staff, counseled residents, kept the minutes of the organization, and managed the myriad of operational details, while local board members Andrew Duda Jr. and Andrew Stanko oversaw the administration and financial affairs. The board members, both local and throughout the district, continued this incredible level of dedication to the Haven in their individual roles until the early 60s, when the board called Mickey and Betty Kohaney as superintendent and secretary for the Haven. Seizing the opportunity of full-time management, the board voted to build retirement cottages and to expand the old folks' home. The 60s were busy with 2 wings added to the old folks' home, the construction of a home for the superintendent on a site large enough to accommodate visiting board members, a second children's cottage, and the first retirement cottage occupied by Reverend and Mrs. George Marsick. During the next decade, God provided the trustees with more opportunities. There were monthly local board meetings, and work assignment lists were given to each board member. The care environment was being regulated and licensed. Orphanages were being phased out in lieu of foster care. Cottages were being built and immediately occupied, so long-range planning came to the forefront of the board agenda. It was obvious that Mickey Kohaney needed administrative help, and in the mid-70s, Reverend Daniel Estock was added as an administrator. It was in 1974 that the now famous 50-year-old tradition of the Lutheran Haven Flea Market was initiated by the newly formed Haven Auxiliary. Both Kohaney and Estock retired during the 1980s and moved into the Lutheran Haven. Don Kovac became the Haven director, and the Haven trustees stepped out in faith to develop the back 20 acres. This land was indeed developed into another section of the Haven, adding 80 new duplex homes in the 1990s. The now empty orphanage was converted into an early childhood center. The Haven celebrated its 50th anniversary in 1998. That year, Reverend Dr. Albert Marcis retired as a Haven board member after serving 25 years. The new century brought many new additions to the Haven. The original old folks home and nursing home was demolished, and a new nursing home and assisted living building was dedicated in 2006. A new building for the Early Childhood Center was replaced. It now serves as an inpatient memory care community for those with neurocognitive disorders. The oldest cottages were replaced by the Landings Residency, providing an advanced degree of amenities for independent residents who prefer such included options as meals and housekeeping. As healthcare options evolved, Lutheran Haven modified its focus to enhance the residents' ability to age in place. The nursing home accommodations were modified to provide enhanced studio and one-bedroom extended congregate care in a less institutionalized environment. Most recently, through several years of fundraising efforts, an aquatic center was completed. This offers year-round opportunities for water exercise and water rehabilitation therapy. The Haven continues its original intent of serving retired ministry workers, although it is doubtful that many today would refer to themselves as superannuated. Residing at Lutheran Haven today are 31 retired pastors, including 3 former district presidents, 27 Lutheran teachers, 12 widows of Lutheran pastors, and 5 Lutheran church workers. Through the decades, challenges and changes, God has constantly been generous to the Haven with unlimited blessings. We can echo the words of the prophet that confirms that these are a people God has blessed.